okay? EPA.
Environmental Protection Agency.
Right. And EPA as well.
They have two types of disinfectants that they provide, hospital and tuberculosis.
Exactly. So your EPA is your Environmental Protection Agency, and it must be registered of all types of disinfectant.
Okay.
So your disinfectant of Lysol spray, Lysol wipes, you can buy that anywhere. Whereas you have your EPA, that's this,
Bobside.
the barbicide. So your barbicide, what's the difference? Your barbicide does what underneath hospitalization? What does the barbicide do?
It sterilizes the bacteria, anything that deals with human liquid,
What happens is underneath the barbicide, you have two types. Now, you gotta remember you're dealing with microorganisms, bacterias. These barbicides is mostly destroy or remove microorganisms. The only way that you can kill a microorganism is through what?
sterilization.
Through sterilization. And how do you kill it through sterilization? Right, with a high level of heat. So with this barbicide here, this here only is for bodily fluids.
Okay.
And it's also for body fluids, and it's also for non-porous surfaces.
Okay.
Like, see, this table is a non-porous. Okay.
Yeah.
So your scissors, your brushes, your combs, those are considered non-porous surfaces.
Right.
So that's where you put your tools in here until you're ready to disinfect, to sterilize it.
Okay.
Okay, and to do your sterilization form is through autoclave. Like if you go to the dentist, they have the tools already sealed. Or if you go to get a needle, it has to be sealed. That's the sterilization process. Okay, and then you have tuberculosis. The tuberculosis is transmitted through cough and sneezing. These bacteria are capable of forming spores, so they are much difficult to kill. Disinfectants are one kind of hospitalization disinfectant, but this is a stronger one compared to your non-porous hospitalization strength. And these right here, this type of tuberculosis disinfectant can destroy your tools because it's that strong. And same thing when you go into the salon. When you go into a salon, if you do not see this in the salon, run the other way.
Yeah.
So, your salon has this?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to. I know on my way home, there's a salon. She don't even have this. I told her, I said, girl, you gotta get this in here. I said, let me tell you, inspectors walk in, they are shutting you down because this is your infection control. And
It needs a date on that or something, right?
well, what happens is on your...
Can you increase the tone a little bit?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes you tell me to keep
I know.
it low.
Now it's your time.
Come on in. You can get a chair. Matter of fact,
Right.
and if you don't have that up, even if you're working in a salon
Right.
and you're not there, whoever managing your salon on your license is supposed to be your picture, and whoever's managing your salon, their picture goes underneath. That's how that works.
Okay.
Even though they still have to have their own separate license,
Yeah.
but when whoever's manager that license go underneath your license. And,
Well, I see my boss, she has a business license, then she has a cosmetology license.
right.
Yeah.
Her business license, it can be underneath, you can do it as a DBA, doing business as, or you can do it as a LLC.
Yeah, she's a DEA.
DBA, doing business as,
Yeah.
right, that's a DBA, right. So it's best to future, to do your, if you decide to have your own, do it underneath a LLC.
Okay.
Right, so with your LLC, they, if anything happen, they sue your LLC, and they can't come after your personal, property, but underneath the DBA, and underneath the DBA, and if they sue you, and, they can come after your personal property. Right, so, your limited liability corporation is better.
Okay.
That's what a lot of these politicians and all this stuff, Trump and all of our LLCs.
Okay, Miss Lim, the camera for online student are this way, okay?
Which way you want me to look?
This way.
Okay,
Okay.
so, but right, so if they walk into your salon, and if you don't have that, they can fine you, or they can tell you, depending on the inspector. They can just say to you, 30 days, I'll be back in 20 days, or whatever, you must have it up.
Okay.
But if they walk in and you don't have that bombicide, they closing you down.
Yeah.
And then if you do have it, they are gonna scan that book, they're gonna scan the bottle.
Yeah.
And that bottle must say that it's registered through EPA, because you have bootleg cons too. And with it being bootleg, that means that it's not effective.
Okay.
So, people like to cut corners and save money, but not realizing that, they do them more harm than good. Certain things you just don't wanna cut corners on,
Right.
and that's one of them, infection control. And, now, there are 4, types of infection control. What are your 4?
Bacteria, fungus, parasite, virus.
Right, exactly. Those are your 4 infection controls that you want
Should I be
to.
writing this down?
You should have been writing this down.
Oh,
That's
I was
up to
listening.
you. Right, you should have been writing down EPA, OSHA.
Okay.
But when you get a chance, you can go back and.
You can look through my notes if you want to.
Right.
Oh, okay. Then I'm gonna write it.
Or you can screenshot her notes and then write it later.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Right. you
No, I'm
just-
gonna write it down.
Okay, so you can listen and write at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. So your 4 infection controls are what? What are your 4 infection controls? Okay. Infection control, you know what infection is? You do? Infection. Infection means that anything that is going to cause your body harm, like COVID, that's an infection, okay? AIDS, that's an infection. Those are your infection. So, in the salon, you have 4 types of infection control. And your 4 types of infection control that you wanna is bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasite. Those are your 4 infection controls, okay?
Bacteria, fungi, parasite. What was it on?
Virus.
Viruses,
Okay.
right, those are your 4 infection controls. Okay? So, infection is the invasion of any body tissues by disease-causing pathogens. That is infection. Now, you have to control your infection control, there are 3 types of things that we do. Number 1 is cleaning. What's cleaning?
The mechanical movement of getting dirt off.
Right. So cleaning is sweeping, taking the garbage out, washing with soap and water. That's cleaning. Like how we go and we wash our hands with soap and water. That's cleaning. That's the mechanical way of doing things, okay? Then you have disinfectant. Disinfectant is what?
To kill most but not all bacteria.
To destroy.
Destroy,
The
yes.
difference. Destroy most bacteria and microorganisms, okay? And then you have sterilization, which we went over. Sterilization is to kill all microorganisms. Microorganisms are bacteria, okay? So, excuse me. So to kill microorganism is through a high heat of sterilization. And in the salon, you have your autoclave. And I'm good. With the autoclave. And with your autoclave, that is bringing your high heat of sterilization to kill microorganisms. Now,
But when I see the barbicide, it's like liquid.
it is. Barbicide is liquid, but you gotta remember barbicide is only to destroy most microorganisms.
Oh, okay.
It's not killing it.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So, what happens is, and the barbicide is basically for your non-porous tools.
Yes, this is.
Right. So whatever your non-porous tools, non-porous is anything that cannot absorb liquid.
Right.
So you have, this is a porous material.
Yeah.
So that means if I pour liquid here or barbicide, it will absorb. But your combs, your brushes, your metals cannot absorb.
Yeah.
So that means that any microorganisms is just sitting on your tools.
Right.
And being that it's sitting on your tools, you just want to put it in your barbicide.
Okay.
And your barbicide is just basically controlling it, and it's destroying most of it until you can get to the sterilization process.
Okay.
Because there are certain bacteria that barbicide cannot kill.
Okay.
Okay? Now you have non-pathogenic bacteria, and non-pathogenic bacteria. You have bacteria that are harmful and
So the barbicide is destroys the bacteria, or?
Yeah,
Okay. Got it.
it's the difference between destroying something and killing something. If I shoot you and you live, I destroyed something in your body.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
But if I shoot you and kill you, you are dead.
Yeah.
So that's what barbicide does.
Okay,
Barbicide mostly destroy most the only way you can kill a microorganism is through sterilization. There's no way that's why when you look at Lysol and you look at Lysol sprays and Clorox wipes, it says 99.9.
Yeah.
It's not 100%, and they know that you cannot, that is not going to kill anything. So, like here, this is a non-porous surface. So since this is a non-porous surface, this is billions of bacteria that we can't see.
Yeah.
So microorganisms, you cannot see them. Only way you can see them is through a microscope.
Right.
And being that you can see it through a microscope, we can't see all the bacteria here.
Yeah.
So if you take Clorox wipes or Lysol spray, you just removing it.
Yeah.
Most of it will get destroyed, but you're not killing it.
Right. Right.
Okay? So that's what the barbicide does. A lot of people think barbicide killing it, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not killing anything. And the highest level to kill microorganism is through heat. That's why our bodies our bodies itself, that's why it's so important with the immune system. Your immune system, you have to keep your immune system up, because your immune system, if anything attack or invades your body, your temperature rises. A lot of people think your temperature rises is a bad thing. That's a good thing, because something is invading into your body, and being that it's invading into your body's trying to fight off. And with it's trying to fight off, the temperature rises. So since your temperature is rising, it's trying to fight. But what happens is sometimes your temperature rising is not, it needs help. So being that it needs help, that's where it all depends on what it is, what bacteria, what type of virus it is. You need to go to the doctor, get antibiotics. So your antibiotics and your virus, that's why during COVID they kept saying check your temperature, check your temperature. So if your temperature is high and COVID is trying to attack your body, and being that it's attacking your body, because COVID is a virus that needs a host. So being that it needs a host to survive, and being that it needs a host to survive, that's why we get all these different variants. Because what happens is, if COVID enter into your body, it's using you as a host. So since it's using you as a host, it's saying, you know what, I'm done with you. I destroyed you, or I can't destroy you, because that's why certain people, when they was getting COVID and they wound up in the hospital, and with them wound up in the hospital, they needed a ventilator. So with them needing a ventilator, some made it through, some didn't make it through, but most of the people that died from COVID had some type of underlying health problem. So being that it had some type of underlying health problem, if they had high blood pressure or heart disease or kidney or whatever it is, so that means that COVID, that host was like, you know what, this is a weak immune system. So since this is a weak immune system, and being that this person has kidney failure, being that it has kidney failure, the COVID was more powerful to destroy that body. Right, because of the weakened immune system. So what happens is, once it's finished doing what it's doing, it will leave your body and go to her. So it needs some type of host to survive. And so what happens is, when you it don't have enough hosts or whatever it is split off and create another variant. So, but to certain viruses, bacterias, see, certain bacteria you can use antibiotics. Viruses is through immunization. Okay, same thing with parasites. Parasites is through some type of antibiotics. So you have parasite, fungi. Those are considered type of bacteria that you can need antibiotics. But then you have viruses. It all depends on certain viruses, because you can have a virus and have a throat infection, and having a sore throat infection, all depends on what it is. So certain viruses can turn into a bacteria, and vice versa. All depends on what it is. That's why they say, go home, drink plenty of fluids, soup, stuff like that. So now non-pathogenic is considered harmless, because we do need certain bacteria that is considered harmless to you that can help you. And can you tell me what's a non-pathogenic?
Cheese, yogurt, penicillin.
Penicillin, those are considered non-pathogenic, harmless bacteria. Okay? Then you have pathogenic bacteria. Those are the ones that are harmful. Okay? So, now bacteria has different shapes that help identify them. Pathogen bacteria is classified as one. Cork seed is what? Do you remember what shape?
Round shape, usually as a long or in big groups.
Right. So if you look at corksy,
Mhm.
they are round shape.
Mhm.
They either alone or in exactly. So what happens is that streptococcus are pus-forming bacteria, and they grow like bunches of grapes. So this,
Mhm.
they look like bunches of grapes. Okay, they look like bunches of grapes. Then you have bustles and boils. That's what, say if you're cooking and you get burnt, and you get burnt, it grows like a boil, and sometimes, or even a mosquito bite. A mosquito bite, if you get bit, you're constantly scratching a mosquito bite, you're irritating it, and being that you're irritating it, it can cause a boil, and the boil could be pus forming. Okay, then you have streptococcus is what?
They're also pus forming. They grow like a string of beads.
Right, they
It
look like
causes-
beads, and it causes strep throat. Right, so this look like a string of beads. Okay. So, let me ask you, cork seed grows like how?
Individual.
They either grow alone or in what?
Bunches.
Right, okay? How does it grow? Cork seed. It grows either alone, or in a group. Staph grows like what? Is it pus forming? Is staph pus forming? They are pus forming. Staph, strep are pus forming bacteria.
What does that mean, pus forming?
Pus,
You know, like pimples.
Oh, okay, got it.
that's pus.
Mhm.
Right. Like she said, like pimples, they grow, and some people like to pop them.
Yeah.
That's like pus form. Dipsococcus, they grow in pairs. These grow in pairs.
Yeah.
They grow in pairs. These grow in pairs. And being that they grow in pairs, it causes tetanus or lockjaw. Lockjaw.
Wait, I thought Dipsococcus, that one causes pneumonia.
Pneumonia, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yeah, you're right. It causes pneumonia. Diplococcus causes pneumonia. Pneumonia is affect the lungs.
So streptococcus is pus forming too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Cause
That was
see-
strep throat.
Right, strep throat. That's like a common, type of throat infection that most people can get. So when you go to the doctor, that's why when you go to the doctor, they take thing and say ah, because
Yeah.
they looking into the throat.
And
when
this
they-
causes what? This one. That's just pus forming, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's pus forming and what does it cause? Staph cause what? Bustles and boils.
Okay. What's the other? Bustles? What'd you say?
Bustles. Pustules.
Oh, okay.
Pustules.
Okay, no problem. Got it.
And diplococcus, they grow in pairs and they cause pneumonia.
Did this one, right?
Yes.
I thought you said it causes
No.
tetanus and lockjaw.
Okay. You're getting me confused.
Oh, okay.
Staph is the difference between staph and strep. Look, this is staph
Mm-hmm.
and this is strep.
Okay.
Okay. So staph grows in clusters like a bunches of grapes, and they cause abscesses, bustles, and boils.
Right.
This is strep, and strep is pus forming, and what it does, it resembles a string of bees, and they cause an infection such as strep throat. That's strep throat.
Okay.
So it's the difference between staph. Most people that's in a hospital most of the time, mostly a lot of senior citizens wind up with staph infections. Okay, because they laying on their back all the time, they're not getting chained.
And this one causes what?
You tell me.
But you said tetanus and lockjaw.
Is that what?
Huh?
Is that what?
It grows in pairs.
Huh?
This one, diplodocus.
Diplococci.
You said it grows in pairs and it causes tetanus and lockjaw.
Right.
Okay, cool, got it.
Tetanus and lockjaw.
Wait, no, that was bacilli.
Bacilli, yeah. I'm getting, she getting me
So
off.
diplococci causes pneumonia. It was
Oh, okay.
Right, pneumonia. It causes pneumonia.
Okay, got
See,
it.
look. It
Yeah.
grows in pairs and it causes pneumonia.
Okay.
Bacilli grows in rod shapes, and most common bacteria and disease such as tetanus and lockjaw.
Okay, got it.
And spirilla is the bacteria that causes STDs, sexually transmitted diseases.
Okay. Now I got it.
And then also Priscilla, easily to remember Priscilla is TB, tuberculosis.
Okay.
Tuberculosis, TB, tuberculosis. Okay. Now the movement of bacteria, we have mobility, and the mobility of how they move. You have different types of bacteria that move in different ways. Some bacteria swivel like a snake. Some bacteria just keep going. Some bacteria, which bacteria will get so big and split into two? You remember?
Isn't that all bacteria that goes through mitosis? Like active bacteria?
Yeah, but not all. Some bacteria will grow to the point where it gets so large that it has to break off into two. And being that it has to break off into two, that's called binary fission. Okay. Then you have which you have bacteria that grows like a hard shell. And being that it grows like a outer hard shell, and sometimes not even heat or cold can destroy it. And that's what you call inactive or spore forming stages. So you have bacteria, like for instance, an example like a cold. You can have a cold, but is it harmful or harmless? Is a cold harmful or harmless? It's harmless because it's not going to kill you.
Right.
You understand? A cold is not going to kill you. So, with you having a cold, and after a couple of days, you can feel better. And being that you can feel better, next thing you know it, another 4 or 5 days later, you're like, oh my God, I got a cold again. Sometimes bacteria just sit in the resting stage. And it could be sitting, it could be resting, and next thing you know it, you back, and that cold is back again. So that means that cold isn't officially, you got rid of it. That means that it was resting, and being that it was resting, oh, she think I'm gone, but I'm not. So I'm waking up, you know. So now you have certain bacteria such as anthrax coats themselves with the wax-like outer shells. These bacteria are able to withstand long periods of dryness, unsuitable temperatures. In these states, spores can be blown about and not harmed by disinfectant, heat, or cold. So you have certain bacteria that could withstand. You can't kill it through heat or cold because when temperature rises to a certain level, it can kill. When temperature drops to a certain level, it can kill. Just like if we go out in a bitter cold that goes below 30 degrees or whatever, 40, we can't withstand it. It'll kill us. You understand? The same thing. If the temperature rises to 120 degrees, it can kill us because it's you know. So same thing with certain bacteria. And inflammation. What's inflammation?
That's a reaction to having an infection where it becomes more like red.
Right. It's an
swell.
irritation.
Yeah.
It's an irritation, and being as an irritation, say you doing somebody's hair and you examine their scalp and you look in their head and it's red, and that's inflammation.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we have bloodborne pathogens, and your bloodborne pathogens is HIV, HIV, AIDS. Those are your bloodborne pathogens. And then you gotta also remember with you working and being in the salon, you have to protect yourself because you never know who's HIV, you never know who has hepatitis, you never know who have AIDS, you never know who have COVID, because now people with COVID, they can walk around and don't have no symptoms. That's called asymptomatic.
Yeah.
So being asymptomatic, and they walk around and don't have no type of symptoms, and then they can give it to you and you can get the symptoms. Okay? And hepatitis is the same thing. Then you have fungi, then you have parasites, because bacteria will sit on plant and animals. Plant and animals. Bacteria will sit on plant and animals.